Hi everyone, this is Michelle Sizemore. I'm an advisor with Creative Memories. Today you'll learn how to make this easy layout using the Magic of Christmas collection and the Ornaments border punch. I also used our 12-inch trimmer, and I believe that was all the tools I used. I do like to always have some of both of our scissors handy because oftentimes I need to cut off little pieces when I punch that out, so I'll have those available as well. And this is what the Ornaments border punch looks like. All right, let's get started. I have everything I need in this Power Simple sleeve. It's open at the top and on the side. It's just everything I need for a project. And like if I go to a crop and I have multiple projects, I could put everything in everything I need for a project in here, and then for other projects too, and just stack them on top of each other and then reuse these when I'm done. So I'm going to take everything out. And we are going to start by cutting the border. I use this dark green cardstock. So we're going to open this border punch and put the cardstock in and start it at that black line right there. So it is on the black line right here, the edge of the cardstock. It is straight against this raised area, and I'm going to hold it really tight with my thumb. Oops, I just slipped on it. I just slipped. Let me reposition it. Okay, so now hold it tight with my thumb and punch firmly with the palm of your hand. Then you're going to bring it down, and you're going to match it on this pattern here. We're going to cover up the blue with what we just cut out. And when you don't see any blue, it's positioned correctly for your next cut. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way down. So I've got it positioned. It needs to be straight here, and it needs to not budge. So hold it really tight and firm with your thumb and punch. I like to clear out my scraps after every couple of punches. If you don't, sometimes they get stuck up in there and clog your system up. Punch. And one thing I've learned about these punches, if they ever get stuck on you and don't work, make sure you have them cleaned out. And I'm going to hold it firmly here now because I don't have as much room here to hold. So I matched my pattern up, and I'm going to hold it tight here. Now, what I was about to say is if you ever find that you're using this and it doesn't work, it's hard to push it down, or if your paper gets stuck, I want to encourage you to bang it on your table, like literally like this, and then punch it. Try to punch it a few times to get your scraps out. If that doesn't work, throw it on the floor. And I know that sounds like crazy advice, but sometimes it just gets jammed up, and a good knock on the floor will spring it back open. So I've done it many times, and usually they work. So sometimes I think it's time to throw it away because it gets stuck, and then I just need to throw it on the floor. All right, so I matched up my pattern and I punched. I match up my pattern, and I've got one more punch to go. Hold it firm. There we go. So I have my row of ornaments, and I would actually punch out 2 rows of ornaments because I'm doing a 2-page layout, but I'm just going to show you with one. Okay, so now this is thin. Our designer paper is pretty thin, so I can cut 2 pieces at once. I'm going to grab my trimmer with the straight blade in there. And let me just show you this again. These light blue pieces need to be cut to 10.5 by 10.5 to get this look. So I'm kind of bringing the look of the double page layout kind of down and in to give you a border on 3 sides. Okay, so I've already drawn my line just for the sake of the video at the right spot, but I'm basically going to cut it 1.5 inches off of this side and 1.5 inches off of this side. If you cut 1.5 inches off of 2 sides, the piece you're left with will be 10.5 inches. So I'm going to cut both pieces at once. I'm going to open up my arm to give me some extra measuring space. Make sure my foot is flipped open. Make sure everything's level on my table. And this is great because it gives me more to measure on. So for this side first. I'm going to line this up at the 1.5 inch mark right here to cut 1.5 inches off of this side. Now it's going to match up to, I already drew the line just for teaching purposes. My pencil line is going to match up with this left-hand side dotted line on my mat. This little gray mat right here. Your blade always comes down on the left-hand side dotted line. So I'm going to close it and I'm going to look at it one more time with an extra thing. This little clear piece, there's one at the top and one at the bottom. They're usually just tucked in down there and you don't even know they're there. But it is handy. It has a little line right there, like a little black line. You can run it down here and just make sure you're cutting on your spot. And I need to move it over just a smidge to get on my line. Yeah, and it follows that line all the way down. So now I'm going to cut and cut that off. I can save this to use it on something else. I can erase my pencil line, and it's this on the other side. This is from the Magic of Christmas collection. All the papers are from the Magic of Christmas collection, and then I added some cardstock. So I'm going to, once again, match it up at the 1.5 inch line right here. Make sure it follows that grid line all the way down. And cut. Okay, so I will save this and use it on something else. Okay, so let's get started here. I will be right back. I've got to grab something over here. Okay, so I need my 2 background pieces. I'm just going to assemble one, but I'll show you what the other one would look like. I just don't want to waste my stuff by making 2 pages. All right, so we're going to put this here. So in the right-hand page is going to be in the bottom left-hand corner. This page is going to come in to the bottom right-hand corner. And I actually am going to go ahead and assemble this. I just feel like it. So I'm going to add my repositionable tape runner. Little dabs all around the edges and a few dabs in the middle. Just bring it down to the bottom right-hand corner. You want to make sure there's no red, yeah, there's a little red sticking out past that. So there we go. Now I'm going to press that down and make it stick, and then I'm going to press this one down. Do the same thing with this one. Add little dabs all the way down and make sure you get the corners really well, and then just a few dabs in between. And then you're going to mount this like this. Make sure there's no red showing. I didn't get it over quite enough. Okay, those match up perfect. Again, I still see a little red poking out. Sorry. But that's the good thing about using the repositionable tape runner. You can pick it up and move it around. I can see, you can still see my pencil line. I got my pencil line off a little, but I went with the measurements on the trimmer and it's right. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna, I have an eraser. I'm gonna erase that pencil line just because it's getting on my nerves. And I would erase it anyway. I like to keep a good eraser like this. Not just use a pencil eraser. Sometimes I need a bigger one because I draw a lot of pencil lines. Okay. Get all that out of the way. All right, so this is what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to mount my ornaments at the top like this. So I need to cut it to the right size. The first thing I want to do, let's do it this way. I want to cut that piece off and round off that little round ornament. Get rid of that extra shaggy piece on there. I'm going to get a drink of water before I start coughing. I'm not sick. If I start talking a lot on these videos, I get thirsty. You know, I don't really like that. I'm going to, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so I'm going to round it just a little bit more. I got it a little off. I may have to, yeah, that's okay, I think. It's okay. Yeah, so it's going to go like this. And so I'm going to, I don't want to just cut it off in the middle of an ornament. So I'm going to round off this ornament so it looks like a finished ornament on each side. And these micro scissors are great for this. They're so intricate and so sharp. They're really good when you're doing intricate things. Okay, I'm going to grab my mat and put some repositionable tape runner on the back of this. I use this because it comes out in little clear dots. And when you have things with all these little intricate pieces cut out, if you don't use a repositionable tape runner and use the regular tape runner, it comes out in little white strips and they're going to poke out past and inside here. It's just messy. And you could use like a precision point glue adhesive. We do have one of those and it works okay, but I just don't love using something wet. This to me is perfect for all of my scrapbooking needs. I use this all the time. Repositionable tape runner all the way for me. So I love it. So I'm going to just add some tape runner onto the back, and I want to get these, make sure I get all the little tips of the ornaments, because if I don't, they can kind of bend and fold on me. So I'm going to get all those and just be real gentle so they don't bend. Okay, so I got all the ones on the top. Let me grab all these on the bottom. Okay, and then put a little bit in the middle. So it only sticks where it needs to stick, and the reason I'm using it on a silicone mat is the excess that comes off that doesn't stick to the paper. This repels it, so it ends up just staying inside here and rolling back in. So it's not messy, it's not waste. It's just great. I just love it. Okay, so let's put this here at the top. I want it kind of centered so that there's about as much blue space on each end. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, I think that's pretty good, but let's come up just a little to give myself room for some more pictures. Yeah, and then I'm just going to rub it and make it stick. Okay, and then I would do the same thing over here. I'm not going to repeat that, but I would do the exact same thing with the green ornaments. And then to get this decorative piece right here, I'm going to take my gold shimmer paper. It's so, I like it. It's just got a little metallic shimmer to it. It's festive. And I'm going to cut this piece, and I need to cut it to 3.5 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall. I've already measured that. And I'm going to grab this trimmer and I'm going to line the edge of my paper. Well, let me just make sure I have a good straight edge before I do anything. See, there's a piece torn off here. You want a good clean edge. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this excess off. This is something I used for a page I just made. Get that off of there. So I've got it's a good clean edge on both sides. Now, I need it to be 3.5 inches wide. So I'm going to line it up at the 3.5 inch mark right here. Okay, make sure it follows that grid line all the way down. Make sure it's straight all the way across and cut. And then I'm going to flip it to the left one way, and it needs to be 4 1/4 inches tall. So I'm going to line it up at the 4. That's the 4 1/2 inch mark. So the 1/4 inch mark is right in between. It's right there. Follow that grid line all the way down. Make sure it's straight at the top and cut. You could also use your personal trimmer, your photo trimmer for this, but you always need this big trimmer if you're going to cut a 12 by 12 piece of paper down in the first place. So I just use this. Okay, so I've got the background for that. And then I just would add my stickers. Super easy. These are the stickers I used for Magic of Christmas. Grab some more water. So I used this sleigh and this snowman. So I'm going to put the snowman in the sleigh. Well, I'm trying to position it just right. He's kind of in here. And then I used this one right here. Okay, there's a package. I forgot about that one. Well, I don't really see the package. It's on a different sticker. Anyway, I would mount this down, put the package here, put the sticker here, and then mount it like this. I don't want to waste these stickers for the video, so I just wanted to show you how I did it. I'm going to put these on a piece of wax paper to save them. Okay, so that's how I would do that. Now let's make our journal box, which is right here. Okay, let's get this out of the way. So to make the journal box, right here, this is ruled paper. It comes in 12 by 12 sheets. This is just one of my scraps. I always use my scraps, you know, search my scraps bin before I open up and use a new pack or a new page. So it needs to be 3 1/4 inches wide by 4 inches tall. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my Post-it note off, and we're going to line it up at, here's the 3 inch, there's 3 1/2, so 3 1/4 is right in between that line right there. Make sure it follows the grid line all the way down. Make sure it's straight all the way at the top. Hold it down and cut, save that for another page. Then I'm going to flip it to the left one way, and it needs to be 4 inches tall. So I'm going to line it up at the 4 inch mark. Follow the grid line here. Make sure it's straight at the top and cut. And that's that piece. And then I need to cut, I made a green background. And just so y'all know, I typically like a skinny mat on things. So what I usually do is whatever the size of the photo or the in this case, this piece that I'm going to back up, I just cut it 1/4 inch bigger on two sides. So this was 3 1/2 by 4. So I'm going to cut the mat. I'm sorry, it was 3 1/4. Is that right? Yeah, sorry. This piece was 3 1/4 by 4. So I'm going to cut this piece to 3 1/2 by 4 1/4, which just means it's 1/4 inch bigger on two sides. So let's do that. 3 1/2, line it up at 3 1/2 inch mark. Make sure it's following that grid line, straight at the top. Cut. Flip it one way, line it up at 4 1/4. Make sure it's straight and cut. And then it should be perfect as a mat, and it is. So I'm just going to put some repositionable tape runner at every corner, and then in the middle of each side, and then a few dabs in the middle. Okay, so now I have my piece right here, and then I added a sticker at the bottom. It was this one, this Magic of Christmas sticker, and I'm done except for the photos. So here we go. And I'm not going to do the photos. I'll just talk to you about them. Okay, all this out of the way. I got a lot going on here. Okay, so this is the finished page. So for my photos, these are just 4x6s, just a regular photo that you don't have to crop. So I cropped the mat 1/4 of an inch bigger on 2 sides. So to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 on all of these. And then these photos were 3 1/4 by 4. So I cut the mat 3 1/2 by 4 1/4, 1/4 of an inch bigger on 2 sides, here and here. And then I'm done. So, you know, you could always, if you had a lot more to say, you could put a photo here and make this your journal box. This just kind of shows you how I would place things, but you could use the spaces for whatever you want. If you would rather have a photo here, you could put a photo there instead of that decorative element. You could put the decorative element down here or over here. It's completely up to you. You could also, let's see what it would look like upside down, the layout. Yeah, if you wanted it to look like this and your focal point up here, you know, you could flip it over and work with it where this would be, you would do this on the top and then the outside would look like this. But I liked it like this. So not a hard page, pretty easy to do. I like it. I love the Ornaments border punch. I will say also, and I have done another video with this, if you wanted multicolors of ornaments, like I like this particular one with just the green because I feel like there's red here and that's enough color. But if I wanted more colors, I could punch out rows of more colors and then cut them apart and layer them a little bit. But for this, I liked it just like this. So I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have fun scrapbooking your pictures and your memories. Thanks for watching. Bye.